Well, there's nothing major releasing this weekend, and there's nothing major, apart from the Batman, there really isn't anything major releasing next weekend either. But I figured, why not? Let's fill in a gap, and we haven't really, so far the three movies we've talked about, we actually kind of liked. Halloween Kills, not as good as Halloween 2018, but still entertaining enough. Resident Evil Welcome to Raccoon City, much better than than YouTube film reviewers have given it credit for. And Scream 5, which I wasn't expecting to enjoy as much as I did, but it wound up being one of my favorites of the sequels. Not as good as Scream 2, but close enough. Last weekend, I was in a Barnes & Noble. I was killing some time up until my screening for Uncharted began, which I have a review for that coming up sometime soon. And I was in the horror section at Barnes & Noble, and I found a Slender Man book. Yes, I did purchase it, and I may do a video on it sometime in the future, because it's an interesting little book so far. After I picked it up, I was like, wait a minute, wasn't there like a shitty Slender Man movie that came out a few years ago? Didn't I go and see that because I was working at my local theater, and I got to see it for free? And I was like, oh fuck, that's right, that movie wasn't a complete fever dream. It did happen. And I completely forgot about it up until last weekend. So here we are, discussing.
I only watched it once, and it fucking pissed me off, dude.
It didn't piss me off, I just thought it was really forgettable, and that's perhaps the blackest mark against this movie, is that once I watched it, like a week or two passed, and I forgot it existed. After we're done with this video, bro, I'm probably going to forget its existence for the rest of my life, if I'm lucky.
Yeah, I rewatched it last night since it was on Tubi, and I still say Marble Hornets is a better adaptation of the Slender Man.
Yeah, Marble Hornets, a great YouTube series. If you haven't watched that, definitely worth checking out. I even like the spin-off movie they did off of it, Always Watching a Marble Hornets Story. It doesn't do anything new to found footage movies, and I'm, generally speaking, I am not a found footage movie guy, but I kind of like that. It was an interesting side story. This, on the other hand, this movie really wants to be The Ring, except the Ring had atmosphere and tension and pacing and characters. This movie does not feel like, when you watch Marble Hornets, you can feel that Troy Wagner and Joseph DeLage and Tim Sutton had real passion for the Slender Man mythos, and they really wanted to make something good out of it. This feels like the writer, who I would hazard to guess is a 50-year-old man, trying to write something edgy for something for teenagers. Oh my god, I'm just looking at the writer, and yeah, this dude is a walking bald spot that, from what his IMDb is telling me, has never written anything of noteworthiness. So this dude, probably the extent of his research for writing a Slender Man movie must have been just looking at the Wikipedia for the character and then watching a video or two on Slender the 8 Pages on YouTube, and maybe one or two videos for Marble Hornets, and that's about it. This was, first off, a waste of $10 million, which I'm not even joking. This movie cost $10 million to make, and there are maybe like two scenes where I could maybe see that money going, where I could maybe see the money, and one of them is just a scene of some really laughable CGI.
Yeah, that's like Sci-Fi Channel levels of CGI right there.
It's barely even that. It certainly didn't go into the actors, because, like, I don't know who the hell anybody is in this movie, which sometimes that can work. Like Welcome to Raccoon City, there were maybe two actors that I knew of, or two or three actors that I knew by name in Welcome to Raccoon City. Donald Logue, Neil McDonough, and Kaya Scodelario. But this, I don't know who the fuck Joey King is. I don't know who the fuck Julia Goldani Tellis is. I don't know who Jazz Sinclair is. The only name I can give you is Javier Botet, and that's the guy who plays Slender Man.
Yeah, the only person in the cast I know of is, ironically, Joey King, because she was in The Conjuring, Independence Day 2, Wish Upon, a horror movie, and, of course, Slender Man.
Yeah, and Javier Botet... I've never seen either of those movies that Joey King is in. Javier Botet, I guess he's the Crooked Man in The Conjuring 2. That's one of his more noteworthy roles. Everybody else in this movie, and again, that's not automatically a slight against the movie. When I first watched Welcome to Raccoon City, I didn't know who Robbie Amell was. I didn't know who Tom Hopper was. I had no fucking clue who Avid Jogia was, but they still managed to surprise me.
Amen.
This movie, everybody feels like... I've seen high school plays with more convincing acting. I've seen community theater productions with more convincing acting. Fuck, I've participated in student films with better acting.
Oh, Lord. Don't even get me started on what I've seen.
I wish I was joking on that front. My God.
I'm sorry, but some people in this movie did not know how to frickin' act.
Either they didn't know how to act, or they used a shit director. This movie's from Sylvain White, who the only two movies he's done of any noteworthiness that I can find are The Losers with Jeffrey Dean Morgan and Idris Elba, which was not the best, but it was a fun way to kill 90 minutes. And I'll Always Know What You Did Last Summer, which holds a 0% on Rotten Tomatoes, if you actually give a shit about Rotten Tomatoes scores.
Yeah, the Dead Me video for that movie, he introduces the movie, says, "This movie sucks," and just gets straight to the kills. Literally, normally he does an explanation like a short behind the scenes look and gives a slight history, but he literally just point blank says, "This movie sucks," and then it says "the kills."
You know what's bad when not even James A. Janice will go through the whole damn movie. Well, the Rotten Tomatoes score for Slender Man seems to be fairly on the money. 8% approval from the critics, 17% approval from the audience.
Mm-hmm.
My God.
Yeah, if you think I'll Always Know What You Did Last Summer was bad, you should watch Thanksgiving 3.
I think I'll pass on that.
Yeah, big pass. It's disturbing as all hell.
This movie, it's weird because it doesn't know what it wants to... It doesn't know what kind of movie it wants to be. It doesn't know where it's supposed to focus itself on. It doesn't know what type of movie it's like it wants to be this slow burn, atmospheric thriller. Does it want to just rush through itself? Does it want to be like, you got the high school girls, messing with shit they don't fully understand. Is it supposed to be like a Stranger Things type thing? Or, well, if Slender Man is haunting them and fucking with them, is it supposed to be like an Insidious or a Sinister or a Conjuring style horror? It doesn't know what the fuck it's trying to do. And then, of course, you have they get Slender Man's attention from watching a weird YouTube video. So, you got The Ring in there, except The Ring is actually, the Japanese version, Ringu, was actually really good. I haven't seen the US version. This movie just, and I don't know why the main characters had to be high school girls anyway, apart from the whole Slender Man being an internet phenomenon, and of course one of the major creepypasta characters. But it's like, you do know teenagers aren't the only ones who go on the internet, right?
Right.
Like this could easily be like an investigative journalist who like stumbles across a bizarre pattern of missing persons cases and actively seeks out to interview one of the parents of one of the missing children, and it turns into this slow burn investigation that culminates in this person being stalked by the Slender Man and driven insane or something else. It doesn't have to be that. I think that's why this movie. I think that's why Screen Gems went for a PG-13 rating, is because they actually is number one, the high school student characters, and I guess they assumed it would resonate with a teenage audience better, with high school, with main characters from high school, and a PG-13 rating, which I mean, $51 million on a $10 million budget isn't bad, but it's dick compared to what some other R-rated movies have been making in the last few years. I'm pretty sure all three of the Conjuring movies had better returns than that.
Most likely because they're actually good movies.
I mean, you would know, horror is an extremely hit-and-miss genre for me, and it always has been.
Yeah, nothing wrong with that.
It doesn't help matters that this movie released the same weekend as The Meg, which is actually good. The Meg was dumb, but at least it was fun.
Yeah, there's a sequel to that coming here soon.
I saw that they finally put that. They're finally moving forward with that. But coming back to Slender Man, my God, it is baffling how much I am trying to come up with stuff to say about it, because like I said, I'm going to forget about this movie like right after this video hits YouTube. I guess there was some concern about public backlash for it being made like while they were in post-production. Like, this movie, I guess initially was going to move in a wildly different direction for its third act, but then Screen Gems got cold feet and made them put in a PG-13 rating during post-production, which is usually an indicator that it's going to be a shit show upon release. So a lot of scenes that were in the trailer, such as the black girl whose name escapes me, sticking a scalpel in her own eye, that was cut.
To get the maggots out.
What's her face? Her boyfriend going into the woods and Slender Man being behind him. Or a scene with some girl in a nightgown walking out of the woods and covered in blood, and the police are waiting on her. Like, that was in the trailer, and that got cut out. And it's like, it was like they just last minute just decided, well, shit, we gotta remove all this stuff. And it's like, I wonder how much of the movie was initially cut and how much of it was just kind of shit, was just kind of thrown together. Like, because this movie doesn't end. It just stops. It's like the writer just gave up, or they ran out of money, and they just... It's like, well, the third act would have come, but the writer died or something like that.
Probably taken by the Slender Man in post-production.
Well, if he had any common decency, he would have taken the entire crew, the director, the editor, and everybody else with him, because, my God.
So spare the cast.
Spare the cast, at least, because I don't blame the cast. They were doing what they could with what they had. Unfortunately, what they had was a movie from a director who, just based off of what I'm seeing, isn't qualified really to do much of anything outside of TV, because he's done a shitload of TV work. Like, some of the framing in the movie is all right, some of the shots are nice, but the majority of the movie just it almost works as a how-to manual for how to not do a horror movie in general, right? Because any attempt at building an atmosphere just falls flat. It's like it wants to do J-horror, but it doesn't. But the director clearly hasn't watched a whole lot of J-horror to know that those movies are very moody and very atmospheric, which, to me, atmosphere is the prime ingredient for any horror film good or bad. If your horror movie has something resembling an atmosphere, I can give you a thumbs up, at least in that regard. I can say, well, they tried. This movie, I almost can say they tried because there's an attempt, but it just falls on its face every time it goes for the atmosphere.
Only the face plant.
Yeah, and then you get up and you end up having no face like Slender Man. From how little of Slender Man is actually in this movie. And I can be okay with him not being like a constant overbearing presence, just as long as he's kind of hanging in the background, or you can still feel his presence looming over the characters. If they had gone for something like that, I would have given props, but it's like usually it's just somebody turns a corner and he's standing right there, or the scene in the library when he comes out from between a row of books or whatever and starts teleporting around while he's stalking Joey King. A character will turn around and then suddenly he's standing right there in front of them. And of course it does that whole like quiet, boom, big noise, like it's can we just declare a permanent moratorium on jump scares before the movie has earned them?
Yeah, none of the jump scares really got me in this one.
They just annoyed me more than anything.
Like, it didn't scare me, they startled me in, like, an annoying way.
And see, they didn't even startle me, they didn't even make me, like, it was just like, oh, it's a loud noise. Like, at some point, you just grow kind of numb to it.
Yeah, there's a lot of horror movies out there where, like, the first couple of scares get you, but after that, you're like, okay, and?
Marble Hornets did that better.
Amen. I was actually... Marble Hornets actually gave me chills.
I recently, just earlier today, I started rewatching it, because I try to watch through the whole series at least, like, once a year. I mean, this movie's not even very riffable. Like for a drunk movie night with your friends and finding something to make fun of, it's not even worth it for that. Like, I wouldn't try to riff on it, because I'd get bored halfway through. I was bored 5 minutes in. Like, you know a horror movie's going to be good when you have characters just dropping exposition about their title monster. Like, because we can't just relay that naturally. We can't leave a little bit of mystery and kind of naturally draw the audience into the story. We've got to just shit it all out right within the first 5-10 minutes, and then just hope that the scares make up for it. It's like, no, stop hiring your writers from Lazy Cuntopolis. What else would you call it where this movie's writer had to have been hired from? Because if you feel the need to just drop exposition on your audience right away to set the scene, you're doing it wrong immediately.
That takes away from the scares, but then again, the whole freaking title of the movie also does that too.
And people have made this joke already, so I'm not exactly making anything new, but I'm still going to say it anyway. You know, Slender Man may be slim, but compared to the rest of the movie, he's fucking John Candy in size compared to the movie itself, compared to the plot and the characters. Like, this guy, like, compared to all of that, he makes 90s John Goodman look anorexic.
Oh, Christ. I started thinking about 90s John Goodman, and I just...
Oh, God, did you picture him in the black suit with no face?
Yeah. Bingo.
Somebody needs to Photoshop that image.
And send it directly to either of us.
Yes! Oh my God, that would be gold. It's like, well, I guess the years ain't been too kind to Slender Man. He's kind of packed on a few.
He doesn't get around like he used to.
Yeah. A friend of mine told me that from their estimation, Slender Man hit his peak around 2014. If that is the case, I mean, this movie came out 4 years after that. What do you think the prospects are for the Five Nights at Freddy's movie? Because as far as I know, they're still stuck in development hell on that one.
Yeah, and Willy's Wonderland didn't exactly give me any hope.
I haven't seen Willy's Wonderland yet, or the Banana Splits movie.
They're decent, but yeah, I want an official Five Nights at Freddy's movie. And as for the Banana Splits movie, why would you take classic children's characters and turn them into a horror movie?
I don't know, but I guess there are people who actually like it.
The only thing I liked about it was the cover of the theme song by Fall Out Boy.
Oh. The only Slender Man movie somehow worse than this one, and it's also on Tubi, is a movie called Slender, which is a found footage movie of these two guys who are aspiring filmmakers who are trying to make a documentary, looking for the movie the best subject, and they stumble across a story involving Slender Man, and they seek out try to interview the mother of two kids who were taken by Slender Man. But here's the thing. They never mention Slender Man by name. They never even give him a pseudo nickname. Like, at least Marble Hornets, they labeled their version of Slender Man the Operator to try to get around that whole thing. They couldn't even do that much for this movie, which is literally called Slender, and the box cover depicts Slender Man. And apart from maybe one scene where a character dresses up like him, Slender Man never shows up in the entire movie. It's one of those movies where it's one of the, and this is why most found footage movies to me are just dog shit. It's like 75% to 85% of just fucking around, and then the last act is, holy crap, some weird shit's happening. Like, at least the Marble Hornets movie, he actually is a constant presence throughout the film. He's not in it. He's not in a whole lot of the movie, but his presence is felt throughout. Like, at least those people tried. They didn't fully succeed, but they did try, and I can give them props for that. Always Watching was a better movie. That Slender movie from 2016, the one I just brought up, that didn't even bother to that doesn't even show Slender Man or a variation of him, that somehow manages to be the only Slender related movie worse than the movie we're discussing in this video. Like,
I believe it.
I'm sure you can find Slender Man fan films on YouTube that did a better job.
That's all of them.
Yeah,
Any Slender fan film out there does a better job than the cinematic crap heaps we've been talking about.
Yeah. What do you think is worse, this or Paul W.S. Anderson's Resident Evil franchise?
You're gonna make my brain hurt just thinking about that decision.
Probably Resident Evil, just because there's only one of. As far as Sony's Slender Man goes, there's only one movie.
Yeah, thank Christ.
Anderson made 6.
Yeah, because Sony doesn't know what the hell they're doing.
Well, I mean,
what do you think?
Well, I mean, they've come around. I mean, they're remembering that they're getting their shit in order. I mean, if Welcome to Raccoon City and Ghostbusters and Uncharted are any indication, I think they're starting to get their shit together.
If they don't make that Resident Evil sequel, they're gonna go downhill again.
Well, if they don't, I'm not gonna lose sleep over it, because it's like, we got one good movie. I'll be okay if we don't end up getting another. Just as long as it means we don't have to get Anderson Evil Part 7. Although I don't know what would be worse, Anderson Evil 7 or that Wesker Twins show that Netflix is working on.
I mean, Lance Reddick is a tremendous actor, but as Wesker, no.
No, he would, if they adapted RE5 and cast him as Josh Stone, I could see it. Do you have anything else to add? Because this movie is just so wildly Like I've said a few times already before, once we're done with this, I'm going to forget it exists completely. So and that's probably its worst sin, is it's not just enough to be a bad movie. A bad movie can be... You can remember a bad movie if it's still largely entertaining. I mean, The Room and Samurai Cop and Birdemic are perfect examples of this. The worst thing a movie can be, apart from being a bad comedy, is boring. And there were so many points in this movie, even when trippy visuals were coming up, that I just felt nothing. I was Renard from The World Is Not Enough, just I feel nothing.
The only thing I have to say about it is, if you have a DVD copy, break it into a million pieces and go play the game and watch Marble Hornets instead.
And on that note, I think we're gonna cap it off here. If my schedule allows it, I'll be seeing Batman next week, and we could probably do a discussion on that. If not, if I'm not able to get out to a theater to see Batman next week, we will probably discuss how it would be best to unfuck Paul W.S. Anderson's Resident Evil.
So in other words, people should come back next Friday?
Well, I don't know about next Friday, but at least by next weekend. Next Saturday, Sunday, whenever it ends up happening.
Well, any time works for me.
And on that note, thanks for watching, and we'll see you guys later. And just forget this movie exists. Go see Marble Hornets.